Hello, sir.
Good day.
It's been a day.
It's been a day. It's been a day.
Holy, and it's not even over.
It's like Tuesday woke up, put on the steel toes, and just started kicking for my crotch. That's how today's gone.
Yeah. And I'm still on my tour. I'm only home because the tour is in Calgary.
Yeah.
And so I have to present tomorrow, and it's been a day. So our oldest went in for surgery this morning. So she's downstairs bawling in pain now.
No, she's not crying. She's watching Back to the Future.
Oh, is she?
Yeah.
Well, she was crying last time I
It was
saw
a
her.
tough go. It was a tough go.
And most of the afternoon. And I feel bad because I had to do stuff, so I couldn't like lay with her. Although I think I was annoying her too. So
Oh, I was for sure annoying her. I wasn't trying to, but I was for sure annoying
how are
her.
you annoying
I used my voice and directed it at her.
her?
Like, didn't take much to the kids having a rough go, so I was trying to take it easy, but I wasn't succeeding.
At first, she's like, "Oh, I feel fine. It's great. It's great." I'm like, "Well,
Let's give it an hour or two.
pain peaks in 24 hours." So,
Yeah.
and then little one, like they're on spring or not spring break, like fall break.
Can you call her little one anymore officially? Like, I was there when the statistician pulled out the measuring tape today. Who's the little one?
I know. I must have shrunk because I'm a inch. I am. I'm a whole inch shorter than I thought I
It's
was.
the weight of being so awesome pushing down on you.
It's something, but yeah. Well, anyways, she's the younger one. Decided today was the perfect day to have
Several.
all the grade eights she knows over to the house. Even though we were recording this.
In her defense, though, she did do us a solid and walk the dogs twice.
Oh, that's good. And they are outside. They're being quiet now.
They're being very good,
but
considering.
But just, the older ones, like,
Maybe not the best.
Why today? But then it's drama because they have to leave at a certain time, and one of them sleeping over, and they want pizza, but they don't want to have pizza for when the other kids are there because then it's a big thing. And then I don't know, she's got a game in like an hour, and so she wants all these kids to come to the game. I thought we were bringing them, but it sounds like we're not bringing. I don't even know.
Makes it better.
I don't even know.
It's all good. We'll make it work because we are Parents of the Year.
We are Parents of the Year.
Hey, do you know what would make today really good?
Why would we make it even better?
Special guest.
Oh, we do have a special guest.
Oh my God. Icing on the cake, as it were.
Yes. I loved the transition.
Again.
Thank you.
Practicing them.
Yes. And it's a good thing because I totally forgot.
Literally, you forgot why we were doing the intro.
Well, I knew that we had a special. Yeah, I forgot that I had to introduce our guest.
So again, see the earlier parts of the intro for why today is going this way.
Yeah. So it happens. We get overwhelmed. But today is going to be a good one because, we do get caught in the everyday stress of everything and we forget to see the bigger picture. Actually, I was just writing a blog because coming up on the holidays, just the meaning, and we lose sight of the meaning, right? And the purpose. And so anyways, today's guest is Kevin Baker. He's a certified professional life coach with a powerful mission to empower teenagers by nurturing their self-esteem, confidence, and resilience. And so he's a coach specifically for teens and tweens. Drawing from his own experiences and deep passion for personal growth, Kevin inspires young minds to navigate their emotions and aspirations with strength and clarity. His philosophy, life happens in the mind. It underscores his belief that true fulfillment comes from within. As a dedicated parenting coach, Kevin's insights and empathy make him an exceptional guide for teens facing today's challenges. And be inspired as Kevin shares his transformative approach to helping young people thrive. And so hopefully we'll have some seeds of inspiration and insights there as I wave my hand majestically.
You nailed it there, Vanna.
Yeah.
You nailed it.
Mm-hmm.
Well done.
Thank you.
Let's dive in.
All right. Well, Kevin, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. It's awesome having you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Why don't we start off with you introducing yourself a little bit to the audience?
Sure. My name is Kevin Baker, and I'm a certified professional teen life coach. I got into this field about 3 years ago, because I was in the thick of it myself, with a parent of a 15-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 9-year-old, just getting out of the whole COVID world and sort of getting everybody back into normalcy, quote unquote. And I was just noticing that these kiddos, have a ton of hurdles and challenges and all sorts of things they have to deal with in their lives that we never had to deal with. Our generation growing up. So, on my journey to be the best dad I can possibly be, I sort of dove in head first and decided to learn, um, how I could have the most positive impact possible on as many people as possible, and landed on life coaching for teens and tweens. Because if we can talk to them now and figure out what's holding them back, figure out those things, those thoughts that they have in their minds, that are sort of automatic, negative, or deconstructive, or limiting, find the root cause, and then change the belief to something more empowering. Then the sky's the limit for them, and they can be anything and do anything that they want to do.
Amazing. That's so good. I don't hear a lot of teen sort of executive coaches in this way, right? Certainly around skill building and social, there's lots of different things,
Well, but I
but
think a
maybe
lot
not
of
the
people
mindset.
probably rely on sports as the coaching
Mhm.
aspect of, oh, it'll build life skills, right? Like
Mhm.
that's the only real reference you get is organized sports. So to take that out and focus exclusively on the skill building for that individual unique to them is a good take on it for sure.
And creating these skills now, we just know it's so much easier to develop and like break unhelpful habits, patterns, and develop new healthy ones when we're in our teenage years. We still can as adults, but it's definitely a lot harder. So yeah, I think that's
That's
great.
right. Yeah,
So
those neural pathways, as they are being developed, it's easier to. I think it's easier to change them. It's easier to rewire your mind in your younger years, just because you haven't had so much time with those beliefs being ingrained. And once you have a thought, the more you have that thought, the more it becomes a fact in your mind. So what we try and do is take that negative thought, that fact, that the quote unquote fact, it's actually not a fact, but that belief that you have that's not a fact that you think is a fact. We figure out what that is, um, and then put in place a more constructive thought, that we can use to empower ourselves.
right. Yeah. Because it's like a stream, a little trickling of a stream right now, but it can grow into like a canyon, right? If
That's right.
if we continue following this
That's an
path.
analogy we use. Yeah. Yeah.
So for parents who are listening, where do we start? What's the first step?
Yeah, I mean, so the first step is, realizing that there's a problem and being aware that there's some red flags that your kiddo is showing. It might be a lack of motivation. It might be, um, a lot of screen time. It might be that they are kind of shutting off. It might be that they don't want to get out of bed in the morning. It might be poor school attendance. It might be it's whatever. As a parent, as a great parent, you guys see red flags. Like, oh, that's concerning. So noticing those red flags and then realizing that there's a solution, and it might not be therapy, because therapy focuses on a problem, and coaching focuses on a positive solution. So I equate it to, if you get injured in a football game, you don't go right to surgery. You go to triage, and you probably do some physical therapy. And if you can't fix it with physical therapy, then you go to surgery. And I equate life coaching for teenagers like going to physical therapy. We talk, we build rapport. We talk about sports, and we talk about video games, and we talk about the music they're into and the movies, and um and we actually become friends. And that's a skill set that I've been able to develop just because I have kiddos in that demographic at home, that we play video games and we talk about the music, and I know what's sus, and who's capping, and all that. So it's it's fun for me to make friends with the kids and then talk about why they feel the way they feel.
I think that's important too, just kind of entering their quality world that I think as parents we lose sometimes along the way. We forget to just find out who our kids are and what they're interested in. And screens is just a really easy example where parents are like, that's it, we're taking them away. But without understanding what is it that you enjoy? What is it that screens give you? Or like this video game, what about it? Because there are a lot of underlying psychological needs that they probably don't even necessarily know. Like, I can be my own boss and nobody's bossing me around. I can make my own decisions and I'm achieving these, like there's so many different things that we don't even think about. And so I think the awareness and just understanding our kids' perspective as well is huge.
That's something that when I coach parents, is like the number one thing that we vision. We envision ourselves looking at life, looking at things, from behind our child's eyes, and being in their shoes. And it's like, well, how would you feel, if you were presented with that situation, as a 12 or 13 or 15-year-old, how would you feel? And most of the time, parents get it right. It's like, well, I'd be frustrated and overwhelmed. Well, yeah, that's how your teenager feels. And so,
Absolutely.
and then how do you, how do you normalize those feelings for your kiddo? And how do you say, what, it's totally normal to be frustrated that your younger sibling is doing this, or that you're overwhelmed with all this work at school. That's okay. We can do hard things, and we're here to help you work through it. So how can we help to get that done? Uh,
Hmm.
and how would they feel, once they finally get all that work done? And they're just tell you, well, I'm going to feel great. It's like, great. Well, let's work towards that then.
Right. Is there a jump? Are there things between? Because I look at that as the seeding, right? So that we can look at future projection and looking at our future self, because we know like kids have a hard time seeing into the future. Actually, a lot of adults do too. We actually can't picture ourselves older to see our future selves. And certainly there's sort of that time blindness too, seeing into the future for kids. So once there's awareness, right, and parents are kind of understanding things and normalizing things a little bit, where do you take parents from there?
From there, I kind of let parents try and figure out what emotion their kid is feeling. And then, why are they feeling that emotion? And then once we figure out why they're feeling the emotion, we come up with a scenario. Then we reframe that, something more positive, something that the, the student can sort of take a look at from a different angle and envision it from a more positive perspective. And then that changes the feeling that they had regarding the situation from something negative to something positive. And then they can sort of get rid of that baggage and move on.
Do you have an example maybe that you could share, like a specific example, just to help sort
Hmm.
of make it concrete?
Yeah. So, I always come back to this, to this one example of this kiddo who's afraid of the water, like didn't want to swim, had this traumatic event happen to them when they were younger, and they were rafting, and they fell out of the raft, and it was like a very scary situation for them, but they were eventually, brought to shore, by a stranger, and they've been afraid of the water ever since. Their parents actually, got injured and died in that accident, but they've been terrified of the water. Um, so we had to run through the scenario of, well, it wasn't the water you should be afraid of. Your parents, actually sort of saved your life by giving you to that individual, and that's why you were saved. Like, it wasn't the water that you should be afraid of. You should be thankful that your parents saved your life. I don't know if I explained that example incredibly well, but that was the gist of it.
In a situation like that, so I think I understand where you're going with the reframing. What are the kind of tools that you can apply in a situation like that to help them get there? Because I understand where you're going, like take them away from the problem and the negative and try and help them move it. But what are the steps you would move them towards that? Because it's not just a single conversation, I'm assuming, right? Like it's a process. So how do you start to work those steps to get them to be willing or open to accepting that reframing?
Yeah, it's really calling out the beliefs that they have. And, the beliefs that, for instance, if someone has a belief that, I don't want to, I can't do this because I'm not good enough. Or, I can't do this because people are going to judge me. We take those beliefs because they're all part of a story that we've been telling ourselves because of the inputs that we've had, growing up. And so then we take that thought that, I'm not good enough, and we change it to, with practice, I can't be good enough. Or, people are going to judge me, but they're going to judge me and they're going to be proud of me because of my accomplishments. And then, we take those affirmations and we take those thoughts and we practice them. It's like going to the gym, but for mental health. And you have to do the reps. So, if for 3 weeks, I can be aware that when I'm challenged with something, I kind of hear this inner narrative that tells me I'm not good enough and I won't be able to do it. But if I'm aware of that thought and I know that it's happening, then I can say, you know what? Actually, I am good enough. And with practice, I can be one of the best. And so that gives me the momentum and the empowerment to move forward, to just, shake that thought and that feeling that it gives me, and change it to something more empowering, something that makes me feel good. So I can take the next step and just get past that thought that's holding me back, and move on to the next one. And a lot of it has to do with breathing, and being aware, and being able to be aware that you're having a thought that causes an emotion, and that the emotion that you're having is going to pass, if you just give it time. Like, you can't have one emotion forever. So you can change those emotions, and you can do that with your thoughts. And once you're able to change your emotions and you feel good, well, then your behavior changes, and you do something positive, and then you have positive results, and then you have a positive thought after the results, and then you have a positive emotion, and it's like a cycle, and it keeps going. And when you focus on the positive, um, positivity happens. It breeds on itself.
Mhm.
In situations where you get a kiddo that's maybe a bit further down, so you talked about red flags and parents trying to pick up on
Mhm.
it. How can parents support their kiddo if they're a bit further than just red flags, and potentially they're at a point where they're in distress, or they're having to work kind of through some more stuff, as opposed to being a bit more proactive in that process?
I think the most important thing is active listening, is really just taking in every single word with an open mind and not thinking about what you want to say next, but just listening, and actually, accounting for the words, and stare at them and notice their facial expressions and their body movements, and can you tell how they're feeling with the words that they're saying and the body language they're portraying. I think that's the most important thing, to really get a full picture and a full understanding of what, as a parent, you need to do to support that child.
Mhm.
And that's something it's very passive, really just asking the right questions and then listening. So, if there's something that you want your child to think, something that you want them to try and wrap their head around, um, getting, uh, getting better grades, for instance, what's the question parents have to ask themselves? Like, what's the question that's going to get my child to think the thing that I want them to think? And so for me, in my individual situation, the thought that I want my child to have is that, if I apply myself and I actually just do the thing, if I actually just take the 10 minutes and do the thing, then I'll have done it, and I'll do great on it because I have all those skills and all the tools to actually just get it done. I just need to get past the thought, right? So, what's the question that I need to ask my kiddo? It's, what's holding you back from getting this done? How are you going to feel when it's finished? Well, great. Well, why don't you just do the thing that's holding you back?
I always say open-ended questions it changes the brain and
Yeah.
changes how we think of things, right?
Yeah.
Rather than trying to reassure and give advice and all of those things. I mean, that's our agenda. So asking those open-ended questions can be really, it just helps them with reflecting. And I
Mhm.
suspect, because, at the beginning you were kind of talking about just, I mean, it's all about the mindset piece, right? And so looking forward to our future self, how can we use this sort of mindset to overcome whatever challenge is going on now, but to get me as the teen to where I want to be, to be the person I want to be or to
Well, and to
person I
get you
want to become.
bought in and get you motivated and give you a vision of like where you're going, and like what's the plan? Like, why am I here? Because right now there's a lot of kids out there. They're just like, playing games on the computer and doing their day to day, and they don't really know what they're going to be doing after high school or college or whatever stage they're at. They might not know what they're doing this weekend
Mhm.
because they don't have their passions in line, and they haven't, had anyone sort of try and foster that stuff. Or maybe they have and they haven't taken and they haven't found the right passion or whatever, but you got to keep going. And the most important thing, I think, for the kids is to set a target. And because if you don't have a target, you don't know what you're aiming at. You don't know what to do. At least in the big picture, like long-term visioning. So that's an exercise that I love to do with clients because it taps into their subconscious. And I remember I just had a session last week where we were talking, and we do it. It's very it's almost like spiritual. We sort of do a little bit of meditation, and we drown out the noise. And I ask some questions, and they visualize some things, and they can see themselves. To your point, they actually can see themselves 5 years from now. All the guys have beards. They're all like, hit the gym the last 5 years. Now they're all huge and jacked up. And like this one individual is like, well, I was having sushi for lunch, and and it looked like I was living in a high rise in Japan, and and I was designing sneakers, and so he had all these visions, all these images, and I said, well, great, well, that's your target. Let's get on the Duolingo and start learning Japanese. Like, that's goal number one. And before you know it, he's like, you know what? Yeah. And then he was like starting to draw out, like designing some sneakers and thinking about like, what Tokyo University would be like. And, oh, I have a friend in San Francisco. I can go lay over with them on my way. And great. So now he's excited. It's like, yeah, I can do this. Like, whatever you think. And the point is, whatever you can think of, you can do.
Mhm.
And so, planting those seeds and trying to help them eliminate the noise so they can hear and they can visualize, what their subconscious is telling them and like what they're actually meant to do. Because if you fight it, it makes life not as much fun.
Well, I think that's so important because we are entrenched. And just so you know, when I meant they can't see into the future, they can't physically see their face aging, right? It might be their
Right.
current face. They might be able to
Yeah.
see, but it's just like you cannot physically see your 70-year-old self.
Got it.
So getting like an app, and that can actually help. Getting one of those
Oh,
apps
the
that
aging apps.
yeah, yeah. And so
Oh,
you
that's
could,
cool. Yeah.
so that can actually help with that visualization, like
Cool.
age me 10 years, 5 years. 5 years, they probably look very similar, but so that actually helps with that vision a little bit more
Cool.
because they can't
I like
come up.
that.
Yeah. So anyway, just to add to that, but I think that's so powerful because we get ingrained. Well,
Mhm.
even just today, we're just like, we're just heavy with the day to day. It's living from crisis to crisis, day to day. And I think before COVID, it was like that. But since COVID, I feel like it's so heavy
It's
with
really like
all
that.
of that.
Yeah.
And there's just always something. And now with the elections, are you in the States? I'm assuming you're in the States.
Massachusetts.
Okay, so I'm assuming there's a lot going on for you guys there, right?
Oh,
Like,
there's a ton of anxiety, if you let it,
Yeah.
if you let
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love like just that we forget sometimes. What is it? Where are we going? What is it that we want to do? Where do we want to go? And how do we get there? And I always talk about setting our GPS. Because the GPS, it doesn't care if we are going sideways, if we're going backwards. It's always going to, if you set it, it's always going to recalculate how to get here, right? Maybe there's a detour, maybe we choose to go another way for a short stop, but it's always recalculating and recalculating. But if we lose sight of where our GPS is and where we're headed, we can
Yeah.
get lost on these detours and sidetracks. And so, yeah,
Distracted.
I think
Yeah.
that's powerful.
Yeah, I like that. That's really good.
And then we get kids bought in, and then it's not
Mm.
about the homework because that's the grind that we're in with our teenagers, right? Is
Mhm.
doing our chores and doing our homework and getting the grades, but they lose the plot somewhere along the line. And we know
Oh yeah.
kids who are should be second, third year university, but haven't done anything after high school, and they're sitting in the basement playing video games because they don't know
Yeah.
what to do with life.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
you know,
It's a lot of people.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I do love that about coaching as well.
Mm.
And I'm more solution focused. I do counseling and
Mm.
but it's
Mhm.
solution focused. I'm not,
Mhm. Oh, good.
it
Yeah.
really is because
Yeah.
it's where are we going? Where are we going? And
That's
I
great.
think this is so good for kids because it's easy to pathologize and get caught up in labeling our kids and saying that there's a problem and we need
Yeah.
to rehash trauma. I'm just thinking of that kiddo from the raft, right? Like
Mm.
we can focus so much on the trauma, but it's not helping them move forward, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah. Anything left unsaid? Anything that's really important to make sure we address
For
before?
parents, I think the most important thing to remind parents of is, their kiddo really, really wants to make them happy. They really do. And give them a chance. When you feel like nagging them over and over about the thing that you want them to do, see if you stop nagging, and see what happens, and take a deep breath and just let it go and do a little experiment and see how long it takes them to do the thing you want to do. Because I think if you start nagging them, I think you'll find they're going to do the thing that you want them to do, or they're going to learn a consequence of what happens when they don't do it, and then next time they're going to do it.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, whatever expectations you have about your child, throw them out the window and let them use their vision to determine where they end up,
Mhm.
and just be the lighthouse for them along the way.
Oh, I love that.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's very good.
'Cause we can't, we don't know what the outcome is. It's just about the journey and the process to get
It
there
really
at the
is.
end of
Yeah.
the day. So actually, I love that. One of my challenges that I give parents is no nagging for a whole week. Like nothing, no corrective feedback for anything at all. Like unless somebody's going to lose a limb, something fatal is going to happen, but otherwise zip it. And it's hard. The first 2 days is hard, but then you'll realize what's actually important. Like as a parent, what are my non-negotiables? What do I have to say and make sure I give feedback? But they'll also notice that shift in the relationship because kids do want to be good. And if they're not following through, there's a reason, right? There's something getting in the way. We just have to help support them. But any last minute anything for you?
Good.
Oh, there's so many things that I know that we could talk about, but I really
Definitely.
appreciate this. I think the little seeds, I mean, I'm all about planting seeds, and this is a really good one for parents to hear. So thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure to meet you guys.
And I will have all your information in the show notes, but for
Great.
the listeners, where is the very best place to reach you if they want to find you?
Yeah. The website's lifecoachkevin.com and on Instagram at lifecoachkevin.
Easy. Really
Okay.
short and easy. Love it.
Yep. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you guys.